Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Bayou Bets for Thursday, October the 13th. I'm Jim Derry, along with my friend Spencer the Guru Urquhart, and we are here to talk about what is all the good stuff that's going on this weekend. Zach is flying back from Vegas, so you've had a whole week without Zach. I mean, it must be like a vacation for you guys out there. I mean, it must be exciting. Spencer, what's going on?
Oh, sure, yeah, just been enjoying this week. Saints Bengals Sunday. Can't wait I'll get to be there again. So that's going to be a lot of fun and get to see Joe Burrow's return to the Dome. But hopefully the Saints can come through because it's a big one. Got back to 2-3 last week, but need another win to get back to 500 because it's if you fall too far behind in the NFL, we all know how it goes. You can go from the have to a have not real quick.
Real quick. And we're going to be talking about it a little bit. We're going to spend a lot of the day talking about Saints and Bengals. We're going to talk about some other things going on. Of course, LSU playing this weekend. Tulane playing this weekend. We're going to get to it all. We welcome in your comments and your questions. What are you talking about, Uncle Vic? About Big Nick? Nobody to get Jim flustered with no Zach. I mean,
me and Jim debate. Oh yeah, we'll debate Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence. We've got a lot of feisty QB debates.
No question, that's coming up. Uncle Big Nick and I already debated on Datitude this morning. That was fun. So before we get started, we like to remind you, as always, the first bet is on us. Use code NOLA at bet.NOLA.com/Caesars or NOLA.com/Caesars, and you get your first bet up to $1,250 back. You could use it tonight on the Commanders and the Bears, because everybody's excited about that. Woo! You can use that tonight, up to $1,250 off first bet. And then, of course, every Thursday, you can hear the picks and the stories from James Carville on our Bayou Bets YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, you should go over there and click on it. The show is live right now on that page, Bayou Bets, and then you can go check for a cash in with Carville. Nobody makes betting as funny. I make it fun. Carville makes it funny. All right, he's got some great stories. You can go check him out. And then, of course, our newsletter, which comes out every night except what? Wednesday morning, right? Wednesday morning, Get our newsletter in your inbox. Sign up at NOLA.com/Bayou Bets. We'll have you refreshed on all the day's goings on. There he goes. He's trying to get me started. Go Jaguars. No, not
I'm with that.
All right, let's get started here. And we're going to start off, of course, with the New Orleans Saints. And they are 1.5-point underdogs against the Bengals. This line has been kind of all over the place. It was at 1 last week. It got as high as 2.5 earlier this week. The Sharps have bet it back down to 1.5. The Cincinnati Bengals, right now, 1.5-point favorites over the Saints. You get the Saints in the money line at plus 110, over under 43.
Yeah, it's interesting. On paper, Bengals probably the better team. Their defense has been rock solid this year. Joe Burrow hadn't been quite as good as we were thinking, but still solid. But they could be in a little bit of trouble offensively with T. Higgins not practicing today, although the Saints have a bunch more names not practicing. So could be a lot of injuries.
Big old long list. Jerry, what's going on? Who Dat?
Jerry.
He says, good afternoon. We say good afternoon to you. Yeah, look, the Saints had their own long injury list to go through. I did not see today's report, but I know Jameis Winston practiced yesterday. Have you seen today's report yet?
Yeah, Olave was back today. So that was good
Olave
news.
Practiced today.
Yep, limited. They hadn't been cleared from protocols yet, but he's trending in that direction considering he saw the field today. The bad news, though, is that I'm pretty sure Mike Thomas and Jarvis Landry were still DNPs as well as Marshawn Lattimore.
I don't know why I get even flustered at all about Mike Thomas not practicing, because he was supposed to play last week, which means they thought he was ready. So now he's dogging it up. Roof. I mean, Mike Thomas ain't practicing. I mean, that doesn't mean he's not going to play, but I mean, I don't understand at all. They thought he was just about ready to go, and then last minute, oh no, he's inactive, and so Dennis Allen, he'll probably play next week, and now he's MIA again. What's up with that dude?
Oh man, hopefully he'll suit up. It'll be a veteran thing. A lot of times veterans can miss practice time and still play. But yeah, does he still play? I mean, it's very rarely. I mean, yeah, he technically still plays, but not often enough considering how much money the Saints are paying him.
Well, here's the problem, though, Spence. You talk about this week and you look at the wide receiver injuries. We don't know about Olave. I mean, I'm glad he's at limited practice. When you got a concussion in the way the concussion protocol is today, there's a really good chance he's not going to play. And then you talk about Jarvis Landry still being hurt. I mean, Taysom Hill's going to play, but he's on the injury report. Mike Thomas, we don't know what's going on. I mean, we don't need another wide receiver core like we had last year. I mean, the Saints can't afford to play like that. It just can't.
Yeah, and we still don't know if Jameis is going to play. I know he returned and limited, but it could be another Andy Dalton week, and it's like it doesn't matter who's under center. If the 3 top weapons are out, it's just going to have to be Taysom again. And I feel like I love Taysom Hill, but at a certain point, defense is just going to key in on him to where it's like you can't just rely on him for every play.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to do what he did last week. Horace is with us. Says he likes us together. Keep me in line. Look, Mr. Urquhart, a lot of people tried to keep me in line. My wife's still trying after 16 years.
Well, I think he was talking about telling you to keep me in line.
Oh, okay. Well, that maybe I can try to do that. All right, we're going to come back to Bengals Saints because we have our thoughts on this game. In fact, it's part of my best bets in a weird way. So we're going to get to more Bengals Saints in a little bit. I do want to move on and talk about some other things that are going on. And we kind of joked about it the other night, Spencer, and then Uncle Big Nick and I joked about it this morning. Commanders and Bears. I mean, who is picking these games? I mean, Commanders, if I would have gone through all 14 games of the week, this would have been the last one I would have picked to put on Thursday. And that's before the season started. So I get they don't pick them week by week. But Commanders, Bears, I mean, I'm wondering, in our daily best bets today, our daily best bet is the under 38 because – frankly, I don't know if either one of them we could have a second straight week without a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be quite that ugly though, because neither defense is very good. I mean, they're bad on both sides of the ball. Or I feel like guys like David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, the running game for both teams could do fairly well. I think it'll be a quick game to where Montgomery
it can't be quick enough.
Yeah, it should be done quick to put us out of our misery. But I mean, Justin Fields, it's not going to be Carson Wentz airs it out, but considering that it's not going to be much offense, I don't see, and he's banged up, so I don't see him throwing it a whole lot to where I kind of like the Bears in this one.
I think the reason why the defenses are so bad is because they have to be on the field. Excuse me, that's the wrong slide. They have to be on the field all the time. So that's why their numbers are as bad because their offenses are so bad. Their defenses are always on the field. They're exhausted by the end of the game. I actually think the defenses aren't that bad if you look at it. In fact, the Commanders' pass defense is pretty good. I think they're ranked 6th in the NFL, which was pretty darn good. But I don't know. It's going to be a lot of running the football. 2 quarterbacks that haven't been able to do anything. It's going to be an ugly show. If I had to pick a team, I think the Commanders are going to win, but not by much. And one of our prop bets this afternoon or this evening is first score is a Commanders field goal. So that's one of our prop bets. And I like it. It's plus 325 on the bet. I mean, I think it's good value. So we'll only put $5 on it. But we'll have a little fun with it. I like the Commanders in a tight one, although you never know. Maybe Justin Fields he started to throw the ball a little bit last week, Spencer. He found Darnell Mooney for a long one.
Yeah,
maybe he'll do it again.
He's got upside. Yeah, he's got upside. I feel like he's in this spot, considering he's the healthier of the 2 QBs. Carson Wentz, very banged up, and also has no confidence from head coach Ron Rivera. They asked Rivera what the problem was, why they're not up with the other NFC East teams. He's a one-word answer: quarterback.
You really shouldn't say that out loud, probably.
Yeah, he had to apologize to Wentz afterwards, but I mean, he said it. I mean, it's out there. You can't take it. No takesies, backsies, as they say. So it's I kind of like the Bears tonight. I'm not gonna lay a whole bunch on it, but if I had to pick, I'd probably go with Chicago because I feel like they're gonna probably be able to grind it out and win ugly.
I think I'm just gonna stick to the under. And
that's for sure.
I don't think I'm a bet on either team. I certainly don't feel strong enough about Washington to bet on them.
Likewise with the Bears.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll just stick to the under, I think. All right, this week has some interesting games on it. Speaking of those Jaguars that we talked about a little while ago, Jaguars and Colts. Colts are -2. You'd think I would have learned my lesson. Anybody who read my NFL picks column this morning was probably shaking their head. This dude doesn't learn. I mean, he just keeps picking the Jaguars to lose to the Colts, and the Colts keep beating them. I mean, the Jags keep beating them. So I don't know. I can't see the Colts losing again at home against the Jaguars, even though they got shut out 24-0 in Jacksonville earlier this season. So we'll see. We'll talk about that in a minute. Vikings -3 at Dolphins. Ravens -5 at Giants. I think it's an interesting game. Then the game of the day, in fact, the game of the week, the Buffalo Bills are at the Chiefs. The Bills are at the second best team in the NFL and giving them 2.5 points. You can get your thoughts on that in a minute. And the Cardinals -3 at Seahawks, and Cowboys are playing at the Eagles this week. What sticks out at you?
Oh man, yeah, it's an interesting slate. You know, a lot of close contests here. It looks like the one that sticks out to me as far as value probably is the Eagles. You know, I'm not liking Dallas at all this week. They're hoping to get Dak back. That's not going to happen. There's going to be another week of Cooper Rush, and I just don't see Cooper Rush being able to keep up with Philly. I see Philly winning by at least 6 points because I just don't see Dallas having enough firepower there. And then the Chiefs-Bills game, obviously very interesting. I had to lean. I'd probably lean the Bills because, I mean, the Chiefs have, you know, had that nail-biter last week. You know, short week coming off a Monday night game. You know, Bills had a pleasure cruise against Pittsburgh. So I'm going with Josh Allen again.
That line makes that no. I mean, you're going with Aunt. I'm just saying you're going with Aunt Mabel again because it's the Bills.
Aunt Mabel gets one right every once in a while.
They get right every once in a while, but for the most part, for the most part, she's making fruitcakes every week because it's all she can afford to make now. You know, it's crazy.
When she's gonna waste her money on the Cowboys.
Exactly. She's wasted a lot of money on a Cowboys
and the Lakers' future and the Nets.
Oh, that too for sure. Oh, there's all
NBA about to start up, y'all.
Yeah, well, look, here's the thing when it comes to Bills and Chiefs. If this line were closer to even, I'd maybe rethink it a little bit, and I certainly wouldn't have it as big a part of my resume this week. And we're going to get to my big Bucks picks in a minute, but I mean, that's just Bill. You're paying the Bills tax if you take the Bills there. I mean, that's what that is. 2.5 points is a huge Bills tax to be paying. That's telling me that if this game were being played on a neutral site, it'd be like Bills -5.5. And if it would be playing in Buffalo, you're telling me the Bills would be about a 7.5 point favorite over the Kansas City Chiefs? I don't care where they play. That's insane. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at.
Defense is a lot better. I mean, the Chiefs
7.5?
defense not been very good. Maybe not quite that much. I'd probably 6.5 though.
Right. So
I'd go 6.5.
Okay, so if they were 6.5 point favorites, that means they should be 1.5 point favorites or less in Kansas City. So you're paying a Bills tax.
Yeah, it is a slight Bills tax, but hey, it's Josh Allen, man. I'm willing to pay it.
Oh man, I don't know.
I got that one on Big Bucks, but it's not either team. It's a total. I'm not going to reveal which way I'm leaning though.
Okay, well we get to go tete-a-tete in a little bit. I can't wait. Again, we're going to talk more about the Saints in a little bit. Probably when we get to Big Bucks. Certainly before the end of the show, we're going to go back to Saints and talk to them. But we have some other business to get out of the way. Real quick for me on this list, I do think the Colts come through this week. It's not one of my best bets, but Uncle Big Nick and I talked about it. I have no idea what your Big Bucks picks are this week. I know you know mine, but I don't know what yours are. I think the Giants, I'm sick of them not getting the love they deserve. I mean, they're 4-1 for a reason. They beat the Packers. They have won some big games this year. Brian Daboll makes a huge difference. You can hate on Daniel Jones all you want, but the dude, you could chop him off in the ankles, and the dude's still coming back at you. He's like one of those guys that you hit with a stick, and he gets back up, and you hit him with a stick, and you're like, dude, please stay down. And he won't. He keeps coming back and coming back, and the Giants getting 5 from a Ravens team that shouldn't be given 5 on the road. They're a good team, but they're not that good. So I don't understand that line either. I mean, that means if they were playing in Baltimore, it'd be like -9. I mean, when are we going to learn? They gave 8 to the Giants last week, and the Giants won it straight up. Doesn't make it any sense. All right, before we move on to college, you want to answer Mr. Urquhart's question. Spencer, what is your best pick for Survivor contest out of Tampa Bay or San Fran? Isn't much else that left that looks that good. Well, I'll go first because I have one pick remaining in my main pool. I have 2, but Spencer picks one of them, and he's still alive. So obviously Spencer's outlived my other 5 picks. We started a new pool this week. So out of those 2, I will tell you, I had both of those teams available, and I took Tampa Bay. So if that tells you anything.
Spencer, they play Pittsburgh this week.
What you got?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, I think he used Green Bay already. So I would say, I mean, for me personally, I like Minnesota a lot this week, considering the Dolphins are having to play a third string quarterback. I know it's in Miami, but Skylar Thompson, like I just don't see him being able to keep up with that
Has he
Minnesota
used the Rams
offense.
yet?
With Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson. Yeah, the Rams, I mean, that feels fairly safe against. I know Carolina just fired their coach, might be somewhat fired up, but I mean,
It's
the talent discrepancy there.
A little nerve-wracking, but I would probably take Tampa Bay over. I mean,
yeah, probably, because Atlanta's been feisty, man. I wouldn't just take that for granted. So, yeah, I'd probably lean Tampa
I
out
think
of those two.
whatever you take, a Green Bay would probably be my number one pick. But if you don't have them, you don't have them. But, if you take Tampa Bay, I think anything else you're going to sweat. So, I mean, that's what it is. I think Tampa Bay is going to be in a dogfight with Pittsburgh, but I think Tampa Bay wins, and I took them. So we're going to get back to our picks in just a minute. We got to go through some of the college stuff real quick. LSU is playing Florida this week. Tigers are a 2.5-point underdog on the road in the swamp. I know Spencer and I don't see eye to eye this pretty much on this. LSU plus 118 on the money line, I think, is a good deal. Actually, that's what I would bet probably anything. I think LSU is going to go to the swamp and win. And why? Because Florida is kind of like LSU in a way. They're not very good. I mean, they're okay. I mean, when you talk about overall college teams, I mean, they're good if you compare them to the bottom three quarters of the Big 12. They're good if you take the best one or two teams out of the ACC. They're good if you take the top three teams out of the Pac-12. But they're not good SEC wise, and they're an average football team that probably is going to go to a bowl. But Florida, I don't think they're going to be able to handle LSU's defense, Spencer.
Yeah, I've actually kind of warmed up to Florida. I mean, the LSU, as you know, since the beginning of the week, I was more on Florida. But lately, I'm as far as the points, I'd probably take. I mean, you're getting points at LSU. I'd probably take the points, the 2.5. You know, I mean, I think Florida. I mean, Billy Napier's notorious for pulling games out and not covering.
He is.
So that was his say with the Cajuns. Cajuns would always find a way to win, but boy, they were bad against the spread. So I'm thinking Florida ekes it out, but that the Tigers cover.
I think LSU's going to win that game. We'll see. I think it's one of the ones. I don't know. I don't want to say they have to win, but if you look at their schedule to try to become bowl eligible, and certainly to get to that 7-win plateau that a lot of people bet on, and I told you guys not to bet on the over 7, and certainly take the under on the 7.5. And I think they're pretty safe for the under on the 7.5. I think 7's their ceiling, but we'll find out. Anyway, I think LSU wins this week and gets to where they need to go. That's one of the games they need to have. If you look at the rest of the NCAA docket, the key games, what sticks out on your mind here? I think there are some real interesting ones. Uncle Big Nick and I talked a lot about Alabama and Tennessee. He likes Alabama. He's got it at -7 when he bet it. I think it's 7 again, as a matter of fact. I got a feeling that just because Tennessee played well last week and Alabama didn't, I think if anything, in a rare case, and I mean super rare, you're getting value on the Crimson Tide in this one.
Yeah, you probably are. I mean, I think Tennessee could cover it, but we all know how the Crimson Tide are. It's hard to bet against Nick Saban. So
I'm not betting against them.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. I mean, the thing to me that stands out, I said it earlier in the week, and I'll say it again. The line to me that makes no sense is USC.
That's what I said.
Plus 3.5 against Utah. Like, it makes no sense. Like, I mean, Caleb Williams is a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate, and Utah is lost to UCLA and Florida. I mean, Utah is not very good. To me, that's like, unless the odds makers know something we don't, I'd take USC's money line.
Well, Uncle Big Nick does not agree with you. That was part of our data too.
Yeah, I need to go back and listen to that because I'm curious why that line is like that.
Well, that's exactly why we both like Utah in this one, because it makes zero sense. I mean, they didn't just inflate it. They didn't give some kind of tax or anything. They just beg you to take USC. Yeah, and when they just blatantly beg me to take somebody, I'm taking the other side because you know something I don't. So I'm with Uncle Big Nick on that.
Yeah, I was kind of wanting to say, I might just put a small wager on the money line for fun, but definitely not one I'd go all in with because, I mean, it's just, you can't ignore the odds. I mean, the odds are what they are for a reason, so the odds makers must
know something
that Utah's going to win that one.
Something stinks.
I don't agree with them, but again, I admit they know more than me. So,
well, I like both the favorites in the top and two of the top. Actually, all of the top three games. Michigan -7, TCU -4. I like both of those favorites there, and then Clemson, Florida State. Something weird about that line as well. I got a feeling the Seminoles are going to come back and play strong this week.
Yeah, I think they could
beat Clemson.
Yeah, they very well could. Clemson. Clemson's a big one for Clemson because Clemson's schedule, if I'm remembering right, gets pretty cushy after this. To where if they can get past Florida State, they'll probably run the table and just then have to win the ACC championship to to make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can get this light back on.
Actually, look, it's fine that way. You're fine. I think it's fine.
Cool.
All right, moving on. We're going to talk a little baseball. Again, we're going to get to big bucks at the end, so don't leave us yet. We're going to go back and talk more about the Saints in just a little bit. All right. MLB Division Series odds. This is before Game 2 started, and it started about 45 minutes ago. Seattle +370 at Houston. I have no idea what's going on in this series. Do you have it on right now, Spence?
No, I actually haven't. The MLB kind of fell through the cracks for me. I've been looking at these NBA futures, man. I just had to Zion MVP post, and they got a Pels betting preview in the works. So yeah, baseball's hot and heavy, man. I need to get into these postseason games. I saw the Padres upset the Dodgers, Braves even things up yesterday. So yeah, a lot of action going on.
Well, that's because our daily best bet yesterday was Padres.
Oh yeah, I've been red hot with
Padres money line. We really have been. It's incredible. As cold as we were in September is as hot as we are here in the month of October. All right, Seattle at Houston, and then you got the Guardians, big underdog.
Mariners up 2-1.
There you go. Let's see if they cannot blow one like they blew Game 1. And I'm not touching either one of the other series. If there's any value at all, maybe a little bit on the Phillies, a little bit because they get to go home now and play 2 games. They can close out at home. I like their resolve, but no way I'm betting on Padres at +160. You'd have to give me 2 something to bet on the Padres. Nothing I really like there. Nothing to see there. We got a couple comments. Let's see. Malou Castillo says cheers. Well, we say cheers back at you. We're glad that you join us. You can send us a comment. All you got to do is go in the comment stream. It shows up here for us, and we'll be glad to put it on the air and talk about it. World Series odds. Houston Astros are still the favorite at +260. I'm telling you, don't bet on the Astros.
That's Mattress Mac there. Dodgers should be the favorite. No value with the Astros.
Yeah. Dodgers got to be the favorite. So, and Yankees at 450. You're getting close to my number now because they're almost certainly going to go to the CS Championship Series. That's not a bad number anymore. 450 is not a terrible number anymore. You're looking for somebody to bet on. I still kind of like the Phillies at +1100. They're even with the Braves. And yesterday was a weird one. They had to wait 3 hours to play the game. Spencer, I kind of like the Phillies at +1100. Mariners even at +2500. If they can find a way to win this game, I don't know if those odds are still on there. So that's before the odds of Game 2 started. But even if the Mariners win this game and go to like +1600, which is what I guess it would be, I still think you're getting value there.
Potentially, yes, because they're a very talented team. All these teams have talent. I know you're not a fan of the Guardians, Jim, but I think there's still a chance that they could give the Yankees a little trouble. As I think the Yankees are a bit fraudulent. Like I know they've got the great Aaron Judge, but outside of him, I don't really like what they got going. I'm not saying they're going to lose to the Guardians, but to me, there is value with the Guardians because I don't see them just laying down and getting swept.
I don't have anything against the Guardians, but every time I see them, I'm still thinking the Major League movies and the Indians. So you can change their name all they want. They're still a bunch of, kind of losers, right? I mean, they don't win a whole lot. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the Cubs got their only World Series in my lifetime against the Cleveland Indians. So there you go.
Yeah, that was the battle of the lovable losers.
Yeah, it took the Cuyahoga Nation for the Cubs to get their World Series. Whatever way it works, it's fine with me. It's all good.
Yeah, all right. I got one.
Big bucks. We're going to start with Zach since he's not here. Zach's having a rough time. I mean, it really is. Man. His balance is now down to $813. We started with $1,000 each. Okay, So you're going to see our balance in just a moment. But let this sink in. We're in week 6. As bad as I was last year, I don't think I was this low this early. So take Zach's big bucks picks, whatever way you want to. We never even talked about Tulane versus South Florida, but his chalk play, Tulane -12 at South Florida for $22. His best bet, he's got some college love going on here. Coastal Carolina -12 over Old Dominion. I wish he were here to explain that pick to us because I don't know who in the Sam Hill outside of Coastal Carolina and Old Dominion lovers are going to want to play this game. I mean, I know you look for value, but okay. And then he and I have I think we have the same dog. He's got Panthers +10 at the Rams. I'll explain my pick in just a minute. Total Jets Packers over 45.5. I don't dislike that pick. And then a wild card, I'm not teasing the Panthers. There's no reason to tease that. He's just doubling down on the Panthers now, and he's good. That's not a good value teaser there. And I'm gonna tell you why when I get to mine. You gotta go through specific numbers to do a teaser. And the Panthers have already gone through all their numbers. So that's not a reason to put them in a teaser. That's just kind of a guessing game now. That's not a good reason to tease the Panthers. But whatever. We have to have a teaser class. And I know, Spencer, you don't even pretend to understand the teaser, which I like. So, I mean, if you don't get it.
I do parlays for my wild card. But yeah, I need to look into teasers because I see you do well with those sometimes. So I
do. And there's a way to do them that you get value doing them a certain way. Nick's asking if I wasn't there back when the Cubs won in 1908. No, my mom was pregnant that year. And so I just missed
almost.
it. Yeah,
almost.
I just got missed it. Stephen Dorsey's a little happy. Vicky, Gerald, I'm sure she's talking about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is good people, and he's a future Saint.
I'll hope, but I doubt it. I don't think the Bengals are going to let him get away. Plus, he's an Ohio kid.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on that. I don't think that's going to happen.
I wouldn't think. I guess you never know. Never know.
You don't know, but all right. Spencer, let's get to yours. Your best bet. You just talk about him. Go ahead and talk about him.
Cool. Yeah, the Vikings, man.
I'll jump in when I tell you that I really don't agree with you, or I really do agree with you. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, the Vikings I really like because I know they're on the road, which you had mentioned earlier is like why you aren't as big on them. But to me, the Dolphins' offense with that third-string quarterback is going to score, I don't know, probably like 10 or less points. They stink. And the Dolphins' defense isn't very good, just got lit up by the Jets to where I see Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook having a field day. To me, that line is kind of odd to me. It doesn't really make much sense, but I'll go with Minnesota. I'll go with it and hope Kirk doesn't stink up the joint because on paper, they should win this by double digits. In my chalk play, Packers -7.5 over the Jets. I almost didn't do this because the line shifted from 7 to 7.5.
Well, while you're saying this, we're going to get to this in mine in a minute. As of last night, I don't know if it's still this way today, but you could still bet the Packers at 7 at -110. The 7.5, it was +105. So they were kind of begging you to take it was a weird way of them trying to sell the Packers -7.5. You could still bet Green Bay -7 at the regular -110. I don't know why they put it like that.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I figured I'd just take it though because I think they win this by 10 plus. The Jets are coming off a big win. I see a letdown coming for them, and Packers coming off a tough loss. I see them shaking back. Patriots underdog against the Browns. Patriots have owned the Browns under Bill Belichick. Look, that's freaking the team that let Belichick go. So it's like you best believe he still is petty about that.
He is 8-2 against the Browns, and he has averaged, allowing the Browns 16.3 points per game since he has become coach of the Patriots. That's pretty good.
Yeah, appreciate you backing me up there because I see. I almost did it as a money line, but because speaking of money lines, that's my wild card. I got the 49ers, Ravens, and Eagles. Feel like they didn't really trust them to cover the spread, but I feel confident that they'll all win outright to where I feel like
the Ravens are going to trip you up, man.
Decent money. Like, man, you were the Giants. And then the Bills, Chiefs, I mentioned earlier, I was playing the total, and I'm going the under to the surprise of, I know my fantasy people probably, how could you go under with that game? There's so much talent, but that Bills defense is ferocious. I think they could give Patrick Mahomes a little trouble.
I think we're on the same page with most of your picks here. I'm not a big fan of Vikings Dolphins. I tend to think that, and it happens a lot, that when teams are forced, like knowing the whole week, they're forced to, they have quarterback issues. They're going to the third string quarterback. You see it way more often than not. You saw it with the Patriots when they went to Bailey Zappi. The defense kind of like stiffens up. If anything, I would probably tend to lean under because of that. I don't trust the Vikings, and I don't trust Kirk Cousins enough to not screw something up. I mean, they should win by 3.5. So I think your thinking is right there. I just don't trust them. Not at all. I mean, Kirk Cousins knows how to screw up anything. They could lose to – you could bring in, I don't know, you could bring in Clemson Tigers, and he could find a way to screw it up. That's just who Kirk Cousins is. He'll play great at times, and, I mean, you know. I mean, if you have him in fantasy, you certainly know. And then other times.
Yeah. I'm just thinking this is one that's favorable for him because Miami's defense has been trash. Like, I mean, they got gashed by the Jets. So unless Miami's defense, like you said, stiffens up kind of unexpectedly, and I don't see that. I feel like the talent discrepancy is just too much in this.
Well, your balance says that you know what you're talking about. So you're plus $40 on the season. For me, my number isn't as good. I'm only plus 23, but man, it's because my best bet has stunk up the joint. My best bet has been awful. I am 13 and let's see, what am I? 13 and 7 or so. No, I'm sorry. 16 and 9. That's what I am. 16 and 9 record-wise against the spread. And I'm getting these stinky best bets. So if you take my damn best bets out of there, I think I'm 16 and 5. And they've been terrible this year. So we decided to change it up. We're going $20 on everything. So I'll call it my best bet. I'm just going to put it up there. I like it. It's not. I mean, that's the way I'm going to. In my mind, it's not my best bet anymore. But Panthers plus 10 at Rams. I like Zach's thinking on Panthers, and the reason why I take it here is because I think that the team coming out. Spence kind of talked about it. You get a new coach. You come out. You play well. And the Rams just don't deserve to be giving anybody 10 points. That makes no sense whatsoever. Then chalk pick, Spencer talked about, I agree with him. Packers -7 over the Jets. You could still get it at -7, -110. So you need to do that in a hurry if you want to do it. Look, Aaron Rodgers is going to be ticked off, and he's going to take it out on the Jets. The Jets are getting love now because whenever a team that stinks starts winning a little bit, everybody wants to give them love. They were trying to give the Lions too much love, too early. And Darlene, we're going to get to the Saints in just a minute. Cheering the Saints is normal. Who Dat for life. The Saints, you see, they're on my list here. They're coming up. And the Steelers +8 over the Bucs, kind of the same thing. I don't think Mike Tomlin can get his butt kicked 2 weeks in a row, can he? It hasn't happened very often, and I just don't. I know the Steelers aren't very good, but you know what? Tampa's not very good. Tampa's way overrated. They struggled with a Falcons team that was without Cordell Patterson and just isn't very good. And speaking of a Falcons team that isn't very good, 49ers and Falcons under 44.5.
I like that.
I mean, 49ers, if you go back and look at the research, they do pretty well the week after having to be going across country. I would have thought for a second straight week they do terrible. No, they win the games, but they play low scoring games. So we're going to leave them in there. And I like that. So, and then lastly, here's how you do a teaser, Spencer. Okay, and I'm gonna explain it real quickly. And I'm not being condescending or funny or whatever. I'm being dead serious. I like the Saints and I like the Chiefs both this week. I think they're both gonna win. All right. So you're gonna give me value. You take the Saints, they're 1.5. What are the key numbers in football lines? The key numbers are 2.5, 3.5, and 6.5. So you want to go through those numbers if you can. That's how you play a teaser. The Saints go from 1.5, past the 2.5, past the 3.5, past the 6.5, past that 7. They get to 7.5. So now you get a full touchdown. If they lose by a touchdown, you still win this bet. Chiefs, same thing. Plus 2.5. They're already on a number. You go past the 3 past the 3.5, past the 6, past the 6.5, past the 7, all the way to 8.5. Another value play on a teaser. So that's how you play a teaser. Now you have to lay $24 to win 20, which is okay, and you have to win both legs. But I feel very confident that both of these games are going to stay close to the spread at the minimum. So even if the Saints don't win, even if the Chiefs don't win, as long as they stay within a touchdown, we're golden here. So that's my thinking. That's
Yeah,
kind of the
I
logical
can get on
reason.
board. I can get on board with it because I mean the Saints maybe could be a concern. If it, with all the turnovers and the way the Saints have been turning the ball over, they're capable of losing by double digits. But hopefully they
They
take
are.
care of the ball this week because man, you gotta stop fumbling and throwing picks, man. It's just if you keep that up, you're gonna have a losing season. So
That
hopefully they clean it up.
that is the scary part about it, and I agree. When you're doing a teaser, you always worry about, even though you go through numbers, there are certain teams that a lot of times they win by 2 touchdowns or they lose by 2 touchdowns. There's no in between. So you try to stay away from those. But I think the Saints are going to not only keep it close, I do think they win. And I'm going to tell you why. I mean, I wrote in my column this morning, I think the key number is 4. And what I mean by that is I think they need to sack Joe Burrow 4 times. If they do that, they're going to win the game. And I think with the way that the Cincinnati offensive line has been playing and the fact that the Saints defensive line has been better, Marcus Davenport seems to be getting a little bit healthy. Cam Jordan is roaring back into form. Maybe he just needed a few games to get that old body into gear. I'm worried about Malcolm Roach a little bit. He's on the injury report. But I tell you, I think the Saints defense is starting to light it up, and I think they're looking to get after Joe Burrow this week.
Yes, even though the secondary was bad last week, the pass rush did its thing. They got the Geno at the end. They sacked him 3 times. So if the pass rush and the front 7 can really step up, that could mask a lot of the discrepancies in the secondary, which is probably going to stink again this week without Lattimore. So hopefully that front 7 can bring the heat, because if not, it could get ugly.
There's no question. And Horace, you talk about back in the day, the half point. It's not just back in the day. Get you now. That's why they call that the hook. That half a point is called the hook, and it's called the hook for a reason. So when you get 7.5 to me, you're very rarely, if ever, going to see me bet a game that's 7.5. I am almost never going to take.
That's I almost didn't do that
ever.
Packers thing.
It's the reason.
The 7, but
quite frankly, it's the reason
I felt confident that Rodgers was going to blow the doors off the Jets.
Well, I agree with you, but it's still that's 7.5. You would be surprised how many times a game is at 14. You think you're or even 17. You think you're cruising. The team thinks they're cruising. They kick a meaningless field goal. They're up 14, and then they go down with 2 minutes left and do a 2-minute drill. The other team doesn't care if they score or not. They score and kick the extra point, and you lose by a hook. I mean, it happens a lot. So I stay away from those hooks all the time. But look. Saints Bengals one more time. We'll show the slide. 1.5 point underdogs. Again, this was one before any games were played this past week. The Bengals were a 1 point favorite. So something that lines makers saw them, because it opened up on Monday morning at 1.5. So it went from 1 to 1.5 right away. I don't understand why it did that. And then it jumped to 2.5. A lot of people betting on the Bengals. And the more I was kind of on the Bengals at first too, but when we talk about it, Spencer, I mean, again, it comes down to me that Saints defensive line, if Marshawn Lattimore, that is a key. You want Marshawn Lattimore and Jamar Chase because you want to be able to put him one-on-one. Is he going to play? That's right. We don't know. But I mean, what I'm saying is you got to be able to shut down Jamar Chase, because if you could shut him down, and if T. Higgins is still banged up and hurt, you got a major advantage. You're not just going to march down the field throwing to Hayden
the
Daniels,
other Mike Thomas.
The other Mike Thomas. There could be 2 Mike Thomases on the field. And Joe Mixon hasn't done anything. You try to get Giovanni Bernard probably out of the passing game, but I just
Giovanni Bernard. He ain't been on the team in 3 years.
I mean, I'm sorry. The little back.
P. Ryan. Yeah, you threw me for Giovanni Bernard. That took me back.
I'm telling you, I have brain farts at my age. But anyway.
All good.
You see what I'm saying? You try.
Minor detail. I wasn't trying to rip it out.
You should.
Threw Giovanni Bernard.
You should, man. I don't know where that came from. That was a blast from the past. I was thinking Jets. I don't know. Back in the Jets days. All right, look. Tell me real quick, do you think the Saints are able to get in on Burrow like that? Do you think they're able to get 4 sacks this week? Because, again, I think that is the key.
Yeah, I think I hope so. But, logically speaking, I don't think they'll be able to get quite that many. It's just Man, it's just kind of one of those, like, it's shaping up to be. It's probably just going to be one of those another nail biter, heartbreaker kind of things. Hopefully, the Saints can come out on the better end of
Spencer's
it.
setting us up for the heartbreak already.
And,
The Who Dats don't want to hear that.
I know. I feel like I'm kind of have to be the voice of. I don't want to say. I guess the voice of doom in a way, because
The
it's
voice
like,
of doom.
because it's like, I mean, because I just haven't liked what I've seen from the Saints this year. I mean, they're my team, ride or die. But as far as just being objective and viewing it from not having black and gold glasses on, they have not played well this year. So to me,
That's supposed to be my role, the role of doom.
Yeah, Derry Downer. Yeah.
Exactly. What are you stealing my thunder? You're trying to be the doomsayer.
Yeah.
I look. I like the way the Saints defense has been playing. I know they didn't play well last week. They gave up big plays, but if you ask them to a man, and you and I were both in that conference room last week, I think if you asked them, I think they would have overall were pleased with the way they played defense. They just gave up like 3 or 4 big plays. And I know it's easy to say, but you take those big plays out, and they're going to have, if they can find a way to limit the big play, just give up one big play and get to Joe Burrow. That is the key, because I think the offense will be able to move enough to score, just enough to win. We'll see who's right and who's wrong, because it's going to happen this weekend in the Dome, and you and I will be there. Final thoughts today, Spencer, as we go off the air.
All righty. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals to where I guess we'll kind of just make it another Saints thing. My final thought. I'll say this: if Joe Burrow throws an interception, the Saints will win the game.
All right.
So I'll leave it at that. I mean, because I'm thinking he's gonna be back in the Dome. He should play a crisp, clean game, but he slips up every now and then. Joe Burrow's not perfect. I mean, he threw like 3 or 4 picks against Pittsburgh. So if the Saints pass rush can get to him and cause some turnovers, then
I agree with you.
Me being a Derry Downer for the week, I'll be glad to be wrong if that happens. But to me, straight up, there's no turnovers. The Bengals win it. But
well, I gotta say, I don't know what's going on with me. I mean, I don't know. In the last time I've gone this far into a season, I picked against the Saints against the spread, but I have picked them to win now 6 weeks in a row. Something is wrong with me. I don't know what's going on, especially when they're not playing all that well, because they're really not playing anywhere near their capabilities yet. So
no, they play bad.
But all I can do, and I was certain after we walked out of that Dome the other day that I was going to pick Cincinnati this week, and I'm not 100% sure what changed my mind, but I started going through the analysis, and I started watching the sharps bet on the Saints, because it went from 2.5 to 1.5, and I looked at the numbers, and a lot of the tickets, 60 some odd percent of the tickets, are still on the Bengals right now. So the sharps, the people who know what they're talking about, they're betting on the Saints. And then I started going through the analysis and talking about how the defensive front of the Saints, it got me to change my mind. So it is what it is. I mean, you can't say on Monday what you're going to pick. That's why you can't say on Monday what you're going to pick, because you don't know what you're going to pick. If you go through and do the analysis and your analysis tells you something different, you got to roll with it. And that's what we're doing here. So, and then my final thought is Datitude tomorrow morning, 9:15 a.m. on all these same channels you see here. They're going to be, we'll be on there tomorrow. Jeff Duncan at 9:15. We're going to be previewing. It'll be about 90% Saints. We will talk a very little bit about Commanders and Bears, and a little bit about LSU, and a little bit about Tulane, but it's going to be 90% Saints. And if you don't catch it live, you can catch it wherever you catch your major podcast platform. Apple, Google, Spotify, all those places there. It's all there. It'll be there about 11:15 or so when we're done with the show. All right, Spence, it's been a fun one, and we get to have Zach back next week, and we'll give him a little roasting for some of his picks. Coastal Carolinas. Who cares? Why would you
the
pick
fun
Coastal?
belt? Yeah, I tell you, the college, man, it's like he keeps going back to that. Well, it's burned him. I know with me and you, we stick to the pros, because I mean the college, like those college odds to me are just too funky. I don't know enough about the personnel with these teams to feel confident. With the NFL, at least I know all the players. Like with college, it's just
stick to the pros. It's what you knows. Come on.
Yep. I mean, for those that love college, I mean, like Devin Jackson, then yeah. But
that's right. That's how I got burned last year. I tried to do too many college games. I tried to force them in there, and I'd get them wrong. And if you took my college games out, and Zach makes fun of, well, if you take the losers out, I mean, so yeah, I'll just take the losers out. That's what I did. I started taking the college games out, and I'm 16-9. There you go, against the spread, and you're doing very well too. We're both in positive territory. Zach's got a lot of catching up to do. And maybe he will, and maybe we'll talk about it Monday on Bayou Bets.
We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because if he comes back, we won't hear the end of it. So got to keep the foot on the gas.
Like I said on Dat this morning, and this is something I learned a long time ago. You talk smack while you still can talk smack, because at some point streaks come to an end, and then you can't talk smack anymore. So you get it out of your system, you enjoy it while you can, and when it's gone, it's gone. It is what it is. So that's what we're going to do here, and we're going to roast Zach as much as we can.
Oh, yeah, because we know if we were on the other end, he'd be roasting us.
100%, especially me.
With his Caesars glasses.
Exactly.
Yeah, he owes me those. I've been Caesar, man. I've been Caesar for the deal.
You deserve to get the Caesars glasses. We're gonna get
and the goblet.
We're gonna make sure he gets that to you. In fact, we're gonna force him to take us to lunch one day soon. Yeah. All right, that's just gonna be about it for the show. Thanks, Spencer, for joining us here. Again, Zach will be back, and then don't forget Datitude tomorrow morning. Bayou Bets back here next Monday. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hope y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy all the football action and enjoy this nice football fall weather that is about to come your way. We'll see you later. Have fun.